Let's start with my conclusion. I think Georgia's set to be the big college football dynasty for the next 5. 10's a long way to project, but for, let's put it this way, a long time. And it's based upon, yes, Kirby Smart, yes, the guys they've already got in-house, but also that recruiting base they're now sitting on top of like a gold mine. What do you think?
I would actually take it a step further. When I'm asked this question about the big three that everybody assumes is Texas, California, and Florida, I actually think it's Texas, Florida, and Georgia. I think Georgia's gone past the state of California in relationship to the caliber of player, the influx of other programs trying to infiltrate the state. When you look at it per capita, there's roughly 11 million people in the state of Georgia. I think that this is the place that it is the most difficult to defend your own home turf, more so than Ohio, more so than Texas, probably more so than Florida, certainly more so than California. So I would agree with your assessment wholeheartedly.
What do you mean by most difficult to defend your home turf? Do you mean Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, Florida all coming in and stealing in-state recruits in a way that no other state has to deal with? Is that what you mean there?
Absolutely. And, I had a conversation with Kirby Smart a couple of years back because the notion was that when Kirby was hired, okay, well, we got to keep all of the best Georgia players, at home. And his response to that was, that's impossible. There's no way you can do it. There's too many good players. What you have to do is the ones that you choose to pursue, that you've made a decision on, they better be the right ones. So, for example, you can't forego a Carl Lawson or a Martravius Adams or a Deshaun Watson or a Raekwon McMillan to keep Josh Harvey Clemens at home. You've got to make sure that you're identifying the right players that you don't let go to competitive programs that are all coming into your backyard. And it's not just the SEC and the ACC. It's the Big Ten. I mean, right now, you look at the presence that Penn State and Michigan have in the state of Georgia. You look at the presence that Ohio State has in the state of Georgia. So I think that if they're targeting the right players, particularly at what I would call 4 premium positions, the offensive front, the defensive front, defensive cornerback, and, of course, the quarterback position itself, if they do a good job on the right players, then it becomes the best job in all of college football, in my opinion.
Wow. ESPN college football recruiting and scouting analyst Tom Luginbill here on the Cain Show. The best job in college football. Okay, hold on. I want to press you on a couple things. I think I'm hearing that you actually disagree with me on something that I said. But first, I just want to get our facts straight. So you now say, look, Georgia's not only in the top 4, they're above California in your pecking order. And so are our facts right here? So we then drop down a tier after those 4, though. And what would it be, Ohio and Louisiana and a tier below that?
I think Louisiana, I would actually maybe say a state like Virginia is in there that's competitive with Ohio. What's happened in the Midwest is so many of those areas, whether it's Pittsburgh, whether it's Ohio, whether it's Michigan, whether it's Illinois, for 20, 30, 40 years, you had such a workforce that was either plant-driven. You had all kinds of steel mills. You had all those things. And when that stuff started shutting down and population shifts started to occur,
right?
Where did they go?
The South.
They went south.
Yes.
And so now you don't have the sheer numbers that you once had in Ohio. You might have it at certain positions, but you don't have it across the board.
That's
Same
fascinating.
Goes for Pennsylvania. And it does make an impact because and one of the things that I always tell people do when they want to make arguments about recruiting footprints in pools, go look at the U.S. national consensus. Go look at the populations of some states. I'll give you a prime example. If you look at California right now, go look at the populace in that state that is of either Asian or Hispanic descent and look at what backgrounds don't generally play the sport of football. So while the state might have 30-some-odd million people, when it comes to the football-playing population of the state, it's nowhere near what it was maybe 30 years ago. So you can look at the U.S. consensus and you can see where the pockets are and where the hotbeds are and whether we like it or not. When you look at the states of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, even up into the Carolinas, count the state of Florida, that right now is the dominant population of the country's best football players. It's why Notre Dame's down there. It's why the Big Ten's down there. And it's why you've seen such an upgrade in the ACC as a conference overall.
All right, Tom Luginbill here on the Will Cain Show. So let me go to the part where I think you might be disagreeing with my conclusion. I believe that Georgia has they're not just sitting on a huge gold mine of talent in their state, one that now rivals Texas, California, and Florida, but they have an opportunity to monopolize it in a way that no schools in those other states do. See, I'm from Texas. I know. The Horns no longer have that monopoly. They divided up with OU and A&M and even TCU now. And these Baylor, they come in, and hell, the whole SEC is coming into Texas. Florida's got their big three. California, I don't know what's going on there. But while you might have that out-of-state competition you described in Georgia, it's a heck of an advantage to have in-state branding, in-state television, in-state brainwashing on all those Georgia kids. Georgia has a leg up in a way I can't see that the Longhorns, the Aggies, the FSU, Seminoles, or Florida have in their state.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all. In fact, I agree wholeheartedly. The only other state that I would say that you can make the same argument for is naturally Louisiana.
Right, but it's a
LSU
smaller.
Is the only Power 5 school.
Right, but the talent base is smaller in Louisiana than in Georgia.
It is, but what I will say in relationship to Georgia is you do have Georgia Tech in the state, but it's an entirely different set of circumstances, and it's an entirely different set of approach when you look at the academic side of things and the type of kid that Georgia Tech's going after. So Georgia Tech and Georgia aren't generally competing.